leverage on our culture, language, in order to deepen the tie for mutual, personal and mutual.
si moo nekk di indicate moo nekk Bassirou Diomaye Faye président Sénégal egsi na fii ci Banjul International Airport bi nga xam ne njiiti réew mi président Adama Barrow ak yeneen borom nomba tànka ñëpp ñu ngi fii nii gis nañ fi ministre si gis nañ fi deputy speaker Sidi SK Ndiaye ak yeneen ambassadors ak ay nit ñoo xam ne ay sénégalais lañ ay ñaan nañ ñu ngi fii Gambia ñoom yëpp ñëw nañ comme noonu ko nekk gisee rek right now président Barrow mu ngi génn ci jóge ko fale ca VVIP launch bi nga xam ne moom lañ sampa bokk si projets yoo xam ne
and then we can see President Barrow there, arm raised and being applauded by the dignitaries who were there, and making his way along the red carpet, and he's just waving there, and of course he will go and he will get to a certain point where he will stop and then greet his fellow president. This is the sort of normal thing that one expects on a state visit, of course. And of course, as we've said, you know, very, very close and cordial relations between the two countries. And I think at this point it's worth mentioning that, you know, over the time of his presidency, I think, Troy, it's fair to say that many people felt that he had established a relationship with President Macky Sall that appeared to go beyond just the normal, oh, we're neighbors. There seemed to be a certain amount of a friendship that went beyond just their presidencies. Well, was that the sense that you got as well?
Sure, absolutely. That was the sense because you know, in history, Senegal has been quite, you know, has always manifested that brotherly, you know, generosity, you know, and support to the Gambia in terms of need.
Sure.
And the 1981 coup is a clear, you know, historical point for reference in this case. And also, not only that one, in fact, in 2016, after when we had our election,
exactly,
you know, the same thing. Yes. So, 1981, Kuiko Sambasanyang coup, which was quite bloody, one of the, you know, bloodiest history of our country. And also, you know, Senegal dispatching, you know, its security to the country, because it is important for people to understand here, right when we attained independence, the reason why, you know, so many people doubted the, you know, the Gambia's viability, you know, to stand on its own, to be independent, to a point that, you know, a writer, you know, had a book called The Gambia, the Birth of an Improbable Nation. So, of course, that was something of a concern to our colonizer, Great Britain. And, you know, at the Marlborough House, discussions also featured, you know, how do we support the Gambia to be strong enough to be a viable nation. But they also considered Senegal as a very important, you know, country that will help to ensure that this is realized.
Sure.
And as a result of that, the UN also had to dispatch a team to come to the Gambia on a fact-finding mission, you know, on you know, the viability of the, you know, of the country.
Well, I'm smiling because if people go back online and they look at the kind of British news broadcasts of the day, even as Gambia attained independence, many of them kind of said with a smile in their voice, of course, at some point they will have a confederation with Senegal.
Yes,
they felt that was an inevitability for Gambia's survival. But now we can see that the ramp which carries the stairs is being wheeled out, and at some point it will be taken close to the aircraft. And of course, as one would imagine, heightened security for a visit such as this one. Yes, it's a friendly, it's a brotherly one, but nonetheless, nothing will be left to chance. So, of course, our security detail will be on very, very high alert. And we can see a flag there being waved from the cockpit. I can see a Senegalese flag. I don't know whether they were also brandishing a Gambian flag. And there, of course, we have the Republic of Senegal plane. I don't know whether they call it Air Force One, as the Americans do. They probably have a name for it.
Republic de Senegal.
Yes, of course. It's emblazoned on the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was, this both our colonial, our colonizers had this concern, but also the UN team that was dispatched to the country also,
could this nation survive?
The findings revealed, the findings and the recommendations were that both countries must come together.
If I could just take the viewers back whilst we're talking, they can just see there the ramp which carries the stairs is being taken right up to the plane, and at some point it will make contact and we will see the doors open, and hopefully soon after that we will see Senegal's newest president descend.
Of course, yes. Most likely, the members of his delegation will descend first, then finally the president. There are some protocols on the ground.
Of course, yes.
All protocols will be observed here, and we'll see how
to
it
quote that famous
unfolds.
phrase. And so yes, and so obviously once they are certain that everything is safe, the signal will be given, and there we can see the tap at the top of the ramp, which has got the stairs, and he will be willing. So I don't know whether we can go, Ali. So I think it's good if we get the flavor direct from our colleague Aliou Cissé, who is on the ground. Aliou, over to you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ade and Modlamin Choi. Like you said, the flight has now landed, and then any moment from now, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye will disembark from his presidential flight. Here at the Banjul International Airport. I heard you and Choi trying to give some historical perspective between these two countries from the 1981 coup, of course, to the 2017 impasse. We saw the role that Senegal played in the change of government, but we have also seen the relationship between President Barrow and the former president of Senegal, Macky Sall, and this is something that many here expect Diomaye Faye will also follow in the same footstep. These two countries, they share a lot in common. I don't think there's any Gambian who doesn't have a relative in Senegal, the same with Senegal as well. And then in promoting that spirit, the governments have a huge role to play in terms of their policies and bilateral agreements that they signed. I think everything will be based on mutual interest and respect. So basically, that's what's happening here at the Banjul International Airport. At the foot of the aircraft, I can see the Gambia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Modou Tangara, and of course, security chiefs as well. I also saw the Senegalese High Commissioner to the Gambia, Bassirou is also on the ground here. And of course, like I said, Deputy Speaker CDS Kengai Hamad Nkeba, Minister of Tourism, Babgar Ojouf, the Minister of Trade, Ismaila Sise, Minister of Information, Usman Ba, Minister of Communication, Abdou Diop, Minister of Energy, Fatou Kinte, Minister of Gender, of course, Professor Per Gomez, Minister of Higher Education, Musa Drame, Minister of Environment, Ibrahim Silla, Minister of Works, and what was saying, Salimata Toure here, who is the Secretary General of the Civil Service. Motke Sise, Chief of Staff, is also here. Alun Jai, Secretary of Cabinet. Rohi Malik Lo, the Mayoress of Banjul, is also here, and other officials from the Ministry of Higher Education, and of course, members of the diplomatic corps are all here. I've seen, of course, the ECOWAS permanent rep to the Gambia. Lillian French is here. I've seen Lamin Manga, who is the Chancellor of Russia here in the country. Mr. Ade, your very good friend Lamin Manga is also here. But this shows the significance of this visit. And yes, that's the President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who now disembarking from his flight, and he's being received by his counterpart, President Adama Barrow. A quite significant visit here, and something that will go down in the history of the of both countries. But like I said, this is not the first time that we have seen a Senegalese president visiting the Gambia immediately after their election. Macky Sall also did the same when he was elected. Gambia was the first country he visited. So that shows the importance that both countries have towards one another, because I mean these two countries, I mean like you keep on emphasizing, they have a lot in common. But I mean that's exactly what is happening here, and like I said, we have our fine men and women here to give the parade, led by Lieutenant Colonel Abdoulaye Ba, who is the parade commander for this occasion here at the Banjul International Airport. Mbaɗigol ñin tabento Senegal President Bassirou Diomaye Faye a felenti a fotanang Banjul International Airport banko ñaton ko President Adama Barrow wala nata ka bendung kabring abe jikan ala kulunti la ñin tabento a felenti Bassirou Diomaye Faye aning President Adama Barrow ibe tama kan pour kana mi ala ko ñanta ka national anthem fulol bele julole wasila mi ala ko na banko security forces wala ba
Nah, so gini ngomong mam nu aja. Saya flag lah aja. Flag. Get it.
Please let them over. May I your permission to carry on with the parade, Your Excellency.
It's important and historic. Mr. Mamadou Sabali, special advisor to the president, of course, Lamin Saidi, and many others are all here to welcome the president. I mean, a good section of the Senegalese community in the Gambia are also here, and of course, like I said earlier on our way to the airport, we passed a quite sizable supporter of PASTEF who are going to come to receive the president. And like I said, I mean, the Senegalese High Commissioner Bassirou is here, is also assisting the president in, of course, I mean, telling the visiting president who is who among this large crowd here at the Banjul International Airport. So, Mr. Ade, basically that's what's happening here right now. And then, like I said, I mean, the two heads of state will later habitated at the State House in Banjul before having a press conference with the media. Pamalik sister of is also here, and of course other officials of the government are all here. So this is a quite important visit for not just the Gambia but Senegal equally. Mr. Ade, is over to you.
Thank you, Aliu. And I think, Troy, one of the things that we've seen already, if I can make a joke, sometimes when President Macky Sall came here, it was almost as if him and President Barrow were in Ashobi. They were almost identically dressed. We're not likely to see that with Bassirou Diomaye Faye because, as we saw from the first picture that was put out of his cabinet, where there were only 4 women, by the way, and they were the only ones, those were the only ones who were wearing Africana. All the men were in Western suits, and we saw him descend here in a Western suit and tie. So, Troy, both in English and in local language, please, your sort of sense of, the kind of dress sense. It's a kind of almost a return to the Senegalese presidents of old.
Yes, it reminds me of Senghor
type.
Style also,
yeah,
type of.
Quite.
Senghor was very close to the French.
I have a picture here of Senghor.
Yes,
if we can catch it, in his
suit.
Typical suit and tie.
Yeah, I know you are very, particular about the dress.
No, I joke about it because it struck me as quite stark that when they did they were all in almost identical suits, the men of the cabinet, in case anybody wondering what the picture is that I'm talking about. And none of them were in what I would call African attire, the men. But the women all were. There were only 4 women in the whole cabinet of 20-something people. So it was kind of, senior ministers and junior ministers. And all the men were in Western suit and tie. And I found it quite stark.
Because, if you look at these people, they had in their campaign, agenda that very strong message for African unity, to promote, African culture,
anti-French particularly,
sentiments coming out of their campaigns. Of course, many, would have expected perhaps, because, our culture, the way we dress reflects our culture also.
That was why I commented on it, but I just wondered if in local language as well you could kind of break down some of what we've just been discussing.
Yes,
so it's not just,
jërë ngeen jëf mbokk yi ñu ngi si programme bi fii nii man ak Adé Dramé tey réeréewu leen mbir ne président Diomaye Diakhar Faye nekk na koo xam ne buñ ko tànnee yàggut te buñ ko tànnee gis nañ ne def na tukki pour xool naka la muy mun a jëflante ak counterpart sami waaye dëkk bu mu njëkk a seet visit mooy Mauritania nag président bu fa nekk moom moo nekk acting chair of the African Union. So si semaine bi la fa président Diakhar Faye demoon ñaari fan si gannaaw so tey gis nañ ne mu ngi ñëw pour visit Gambia nag ak Sénégal suñ dégluwee si foreign affairs ministre bu doon wax bu yàggul rek mu ngi wane ne Gambia ak Sénégal yëpp benn bopp la kenn mënu ko xaar ñaar te loolu laa gën a gaaral si loolu gaaral naa ko tamit suñuy waxtaan man ak Adé Dramé ne soo demee Sénégal the same thing loolu lañ de bàkkoo si suñ diggante mooy ne benn bopp la te kenn mënu koy xar ñaar so loolu nag nekk na loo xam ne Sénégal ak Gambia si seen lëkkaloo si seen relationship yàgg na ñu ngi koy wone in history si histoire yi Gambia ak Sénégal man nag wax naa ne balaa 10th of August 1889 amuñu woon lu ñu doon wax Gambia ak Sénégal soo xoolee ñaari réew yi nii tubaab bi ñëwoon nañ fi colonise mooy jël amee suñ doxalini réew ba Sénégal French bi ñoo ko amee woon Gambia British yi so waaye balaa 10th of August 1889 pour gën a garal ne ñaari dëkk yi yëpp benn leen balaa 10th of August 1889 amuñu woon lu ñuy wax Gambia ak Sénégal so Sénégambia la woon ñaari dëkk yi nekk benn waaye under different administrations waaye da nga gis ne tubaab yi 10th of August 1889 lañ xaajale ñaari dëkk yi mu nekk ñaar tey nag gis nañ ne Sénégal ñu ngi wax French official language Gambia ñu ngi làkk anglais waaye soo xoolee si biir bu baax a baax a baax a baax ñaari dëkk yi nii ñu ñoo am benn aada lañ am benn làkk lañ am benn nit ñi la man sax wax naa ko suma waxtaan ak adene bu ma tukkiwee dem beneen réew China xool naa foofu noonu ku ma fa gis rek dama day mun a wane damay mun a prédire ne kii il faut mu nekk Sénégalais wala Gambien te lu bari am naa ko accurate kon li mu lay wane la ñaari dëkk yi benn leen waaye soo xoolee si biir ñaari président yi tey lii dafa nekk loo xam ne lu am solo la histoire bu am solo la ne président Diomaye Diakhar Faye ñaareeli tukkeem si bitim réew Gambia la te tey dinañ gis ne ñaari président yi suñ jógee ko si airport bi léegi nii gis nañ ne si airport bi lu fa nekk di xew mooy ne ñu ngi introduce seen délégation si ak representatives bi fii si Gambia waaye suñ fi jógee koo rek ñu ngi expect ne dinañ dem State House te suñ demee State House ñaari président si dinañ toog ñoom ñaar ñu waxtaan si biir ñoom ñaar rek dinañ am opportunité boo xam ne ñoom ñaar rek a fay nekk ñu waxtaanee naka la ñuy mun a lëkkaloowee naka la ñuy mun a dëgëralee diggante yi ñaari réew yi nii ak naka la ñuy mun a dëgëralee interest yi ñaari réew yi nii waaye man wax naa ko suma biir wax amaana suñ fa jógee koo sax na am agreements or corporations yoo xam ne dañ ko fa sign waxuma ne dina am waaye si bés yu demee nii yu mel noonu ñu ngi ko fay expect te su jógee ko foofu tamit dinañ jàkkaarloo ak taskari xibaar yi mooy journaliste yi nag moom nañ am opportunité pour ñu xool naka la ñuy mën a laajte questions am ay laajte yu ñuy laajte ñaari présidents yëpp su ko defee ñoom nañ wax ak askan bi lan lañ yaakaar ak lan lañ séntu si diggante ñaari réew yi nii so loolu pour tënk kàddu gi rek man ak Adé Dramé loolu lañ nekkoon di waxtaanee.
Thank you for that, Mr. Choi. And the viewers there would have just seen that they've gone past the stage of meeting.
proud to host the 15th OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024, the second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can make a difference. The Gambia is proud to host the 15th OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024, the second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can make a difference. The Gambia is proud to host the 15th OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024, the second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024, the second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can make a difference.
Lamin Suso, the former finance manager of the Brikama Area Council, was brought before the Commission of Inquiry for account for over withdrawals of exceeding $23 million from the council's accounts. Suso's testimony shed light on concerning financial mismanagement practices that occurred under his watch. Awasane has more in this report.
Lamin Suso, a former finance manager at the Brikama Area Council, found himself at the center of an investigation into withdrawals and totaling of $23,381,286, 53 bututs from the council's account. During the questioning, Suso admitted to authorizing these transactions but struggled to provide a clear explanation for the purpose.
And then I'm not having any data with me. But any withdrawal I make there, it must be for a particular transaction.
Yes.
So you must give me the opportunity to look at this particular 300,000 was withdrawn. Is for what purpose?
Now that I have told you, yes, Mr. Suso,
yes,
if you don't have it, you have the evidence now, you can come back tomorrow.
Hope tomorrow will not be.
I mean, you can talk to the commissioners But I'm just trying to present to you what the findings are.
Yeah.
And the findings are that there are no reports in relation to where these monies have gone to. Your report does not indicate where these monies have been paid to. Is that not true?
Yes.
Yes. There's nowhere in your report which suggests that these monies were paid to the bank.
GT Bank, yes.
Is that not the case?
That's true.
And again, these $270,150, when did you deposit it? Because you collected this money between the 26th and 27th.
26 was on Sunday, 25th,
Yes.
26.
Yes.
So 27, 28, 29, all these monies were deposited.
But why? How comes? If by the 27th, when was the last day of your collections in relation to the monies that were paid?
If I can recall, they were given 1 week. That was Friday.
Suso's testimony shed light on the questionable financial management practices during his time at the council. He admitted making a $4.6 million withdrawal based on verbal instructions, despite a lack of specific legal authority to do so.
Now, it's clear that you have not banked all these monies.
I have banked these monies.
There's no evidence that you have banked the monies as you have collected them. Let's say, for example, in one day you have collected $447,000. There was no evidence that these monies were entirely banked in one bank.
But this is why
Do you agree with that fact? There is no evidence that this $447,000 collected on the 25th was paid into one bank account.
Yes, the evidence is the GT Bank account. Those deposits are from the proceeds of the auction.
Do you also agree that so far you have not provided evidence to show that the monies that you have said you have deposited did not indicate that it is from the proceeds?
It was not indicated on the report, yes.
You don't have evidence to that effect. Do you agree with that?
It was not indicated on the report, but the evidence is the deposit on the GT Bank account.
The deposit on the GT Bank account did not say that it is for the proceeds. Do you agree with that?
Even whereas it is...
No. We first agree. If you have an explanation, you can come with it.
Yes, but even whereas...
Yes.
It is proceeds from the auction. On the bank statement, it will not be shown. It will not be shown that it is deposit from proceeds from the auction. It will only show deposit by line.
Will you agree that you don't have any evidence so far to show, be it in a report or in a deposit slip form, to show that monies that you are claiming that it is from the proceeds are actually from the proceeds?
Suso additionally acknowledged discrepancies in depositing auction proceeds and mishandling staff loans. While attempting to defend his action, Suso ultimately admitted to lapses in accountability and highlighted the importance of adhering to financial protocols. The inquiry revealed systematic irregularities under Suso's watch, underscoring the need for transparency and legal compliance in managing public funds. Awasane for Star TV News.
The FAO recently conducted a validation workshop for the updated TANBI co-management and market strategy as part of the Fish for Cap program upgrading strategy for the mangrove oyster value chain. Mariama Dem reports.
The workshop, held in collaboration with key stakeholders including the Department of Fisheries of the Ministry of Fisheries, Water Resources and National Assembly Matters and the Tri-Oyster Women Association, aimed to discuss and validate the thematic areas, activities and strategies of the oyster market strategy. The vision for the mangrove oyster value chain upgrading strategy is to have a vibrant and sustainable oyster sector in the Gambia by 2032, resilient to potential shocks and generating profits through increased production and value addition. Khadija Diallo is the Fish for ACP project coordinator at the FAO National Professional Office.
The Fish for ACP program focuses on the improvement of the productivity and competitiveness of the fisheries and aquaculture value chains, as well as an economic and environmental sustainability and social inclusion, and is perfectly in line with the government of the Gambia strategic priorities. This program illustrates FAO's support to the Gambia's efforts to transform aquatic food systems into engines of employment, social development by improving working conditions, especially for women, as well as environmental recovery and preservation of natural capital. Currently, the Fish for ACP program is working to improve the oyster value chain an artisanal sector composed mainly by women.
The strategy includes 4 components, including improving oyster resource and mangrove ecosystem monitoring, developing aquaculture methods and market development, and improving working conditions. One key aspect of the strategy is the update of the cockle and oyster fishery co-management plan for the Tanbi Special Management Area, which was approved in 2012 but had not been updated since. An international fisheries management expert identified areas for improvement in the plan during the assessment in 2023.
The Tanbi co-management plan holds a special place within the Fish for ACP upgrading strategy. It serves as the cornerstone for effective resource management and community engagement. And as such, we have embarked on a journey to update and enhance this plan, guided by insights gleaned from community consultations and expert assessments. Today's launch is an important milestone for the Fish for ACP program to help foster inclusivity and participation. And through this gathering, we aim to present the areas for improvement identified in the review of the current co-management plan and validate the outcome of the community consultations.
Additionally, a market study and strategy development for new oyster products and byproducts was conducted by a local research institute on behalf of FAO. The findings from the market study were presented during the workshop, providing insights into the opportunities for growth in the oyster sector in the Gambia. Mamadou Saidali, Principal Fisheries Officer at the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources, says the Fish for ACP project plays a crucial role in complementing the ministry's policies in the fisheries sector.
The Fish for ACP project has come to support oyster value chain development in the country, and which is in line with our fisheries policy on conservation and management of the resources. So it is quite imperative for this workshop to come together to synergize the resource management of the oyster value chain development in the Gambia.
The workshop also focused on discussing the roadmap for updating the core management plan and validating the findings from community consultations. Recommendations were also made during the workshop to improve the sector, including implementing closed seasons, creating community exclusive zones, and enforcing fines for illegal activities, among others. Implemented by FAO and partners with funding from the European Union and the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ, the Fish for ACP program continues to drive positive change in the Gambia's oyster sector with a focus on sustainability, profitability, and community engagement. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
In a display of support for safe sea travel, the Gambia Maritime Administration generously donated 1,000 life jackets to the Gambia Navy to aid in protection of passengers traveling between Banjul and Barrow. The official ceremony marking the donation highlighted the spirit of cooperation and dedication to ensuring the safety of all individuals making the journey. More in this report by Mbaikor.
With a focus on safety, the provision of this life jacket is expected to significantly enhance the daily trips undertaken by numerous individuals. Omar Bunture, Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Ferry Services, stresses the importance of safety measures in ensuring a smooth and secure transportation experience for passengers.
Making sure that everybody who boarded this vessel must have this. Even the captain should wear this. So, for the meantime, we are appealing on behalf of the Alcala of Barrow, who is a veteran on these small canoes, on an advice so that they can give advice to those flying both from Banjul and Barrow. We hope that everything will be okay. And also on the side of the Navy, the fire service and other security personnel, a big thank you to you. But monitoring have to be there. You have to monitor these vessels. Those which are to have the capacity up to 50 have to be reduced to 40, just for safety purposes. And also an inspection team must be created so that we can look at all these vessels which are plying here, that they are on a safe moment. I think that is what we have to say. We are apologizing still on behalf of the passengers and on behalf of the management and the general public that definitely.
By arming the Gambia Navy with these life-saving resources, The Gambia Maritime Administration not only displays its commitment to passengers' welfare, but also promotes a culture of preparedness and accountability on the waters. Lieutenant Commander Farah Job of the Navy underscored the need for wearing life jacket for safety during boat travel.
That should supersede your belief in, having to be neat or whatsoever. What we need is let us put on these life jackets for safety. It can keep you afloat for at least 72 hours so that you could be rescued. But you don't want to put on the life jackets and you want to blame the Navy. No, it's not going to be possible, because if you blame us, we will just keep quiet, maybe because of your ignorance. But we are trying to enlighten people to understand that if you are on board this boat, you have to put on the life jackets until when you arrive and you completely alight from the boat. That's the time you hand over the life jacket. That will make it orderly for these things to be kept dry, and then others will use it. But if you want to dump it in the boat, people are walking on the life jackets, dirtying it. So at the end of the day, how would you want somebody to put it on? But they have to put these life jackets on to make our job easy and let them.
The Navy commanding officer, Commander Job, also took the opportunity to advise passengers to always wear their jackets while on the boat.
Removing the life jacket at midway simply because they are feeling hot or whatsoever. The vessel captain alone cannot control 50 or more passengers on this boat. So at the end of the day, we will end up victimizing the vessel captain. When the citizens are not complying, this is what I am urging the public to understand. Thank you very much. We have 1,000 life jackets received from the GMA, and the ports, the ferries, in collaboration, they have supported us with this, and we are giving it to the boat owners so that they can serve the passengers these life jackets for safety purpose. For free. Thank you very much.
As local boat operators who play a vital role in transporting passengers on the crucial route receive the jackets, they express gratitude for the donation as a crucial step towards preserving lives. This act of kindness serves as a beacon of hope and a reminder of the impact of collective initiative in promoting maritime safety practice in the region. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Baiko.
To sports news now. The Gambia Basketball Association, in partnership with the International Basketball Federation, on Thursday commenced a 5-day Level 1 course training for 15 Gambian referees at the GNC head office in Bakau. Hari Jaju has the details.
This course provides the selected referees with the opportunity to obtain an international basketball referee license for Level 1 referees in the Gambia. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Mohamed Jawla from the National Sports Council emphasized the importance of the training, stating that it will allow the young referees to officiate international games like other counterparts in other countries.
As a country, we hope this trend will continue so that there will be follow-up trainings to enhance the level of our referees to another level. Our sister countries do participate in international competitions. Why not the Gambians? They are not better than us. But because they have better training than us, this is why they are represented in our regional and other international competitions. We can also do the same thing.
Sangmari Sambo, a Gambia Basketball Association referee, urged the trainees to make the most of this rare opportunity by familiarizing themselves with the rules of the game.
I want to encourage the trainees that this is an opportunity that will not come often. I would advise to take the best time, like Joala said, ask questions. It's important for you to know. It's important for you to research. It's also important for you to study very well. The basketball officially is not like any other game. You need to up your game. Like the players will say, you need to up your game in the sense you need to decide. You need to know what is happening. You need to read. Much more also, you also need to be physically fit.
Both Beatrice Allen, the president of the Gambia National Olympic Committee, and Jiren F. Senghor, the president of the Gambia Basketball Association, encouraged the trainees to develop their skills in basketball refereeing.
So I am hoping that you guys will stay, that your development will be sustained, so that you will be able to sustain the athletes to perform at the highest level. Basketball is a beautiful sport, and must not be taken for granted. If you decide that you're going for basketball, please.
Because when anybody goes through any kind of capacity building training, be it long-term or short-term, you expect to see changes in basically almost everything that they do. And we expect to see changes in the way games are being played. We expect to see reduction in complaints. We always complain, but we expect to see a reduction in that. And it will all be thanks to you guys.
Instructor El Falaki Ahmed expressed gratitude to the Gambia Basketball Association and the National Sports Council for allowing him to train these aspiring referees who wants to elevate their knowledge in the profession.
First of all, I want to thank all the sponsors here and the high people that are responsible for this training of the referees, from the Gambia National Committee and the GBA, Gambia Basketball Association, and the Sports Council. And I hope and I wish by the end of these 4 or 5 days that we are stepping a big step for the officiating in Gambia. And I wish one day we'll see one of them in the World Cup officiating or on the Olympic Games.
Roy Cham, a basketball player and a trainee, highlighted the importance of the training in elevating her skills as an outstanding basketball referee.
Very important, like it was said inside, it's a step forward seeing Gambia basketball in the international level. So it's training conducted by FIBA. So like it is really crucial for all of us because it has not happened like for a long time. So us being one of the first badges to have it again, as young referees, it is really important for us and we really get the good results in it.
As a basketball referee plays a crucial role in ensuring that games are played safely and fairly, enforcing the rules of the game and making critical decisions during matches. This capacity building is expected to add value to their knowledge of the game. For Star TV News, I am Hadijaju.
Still to sports, Leicester City has made a spectacular entrance into the Tujarang Senior League, clinching their first title in a nail-biting final against the experienced Buntalana team. Our reporter Baikor has more in this report.
The final was a showcase of passion and competitive spirit, with both teams eager to claim victory. The pivotal moment came in the 57th minute when a well-crafted set piece by Leicester City deflected off a Buntalana player, resulting in an own goal that would decide the match. Despite a dominating start by Buntalana, Leicester City adjusted their pace and matched their opponent. At the sound of the whistle, Leicester City's scoreline was a testament to their unwavering determination. Their first foray into the Tujarang Senior League ended in a remarkable victory, establishing them as a formidable force in local football. The crowd's excitement reached a fever pitch as Leicester City's unexpected rise to the top unfolded. The team's success is a testament to the unpredictable nature of football, where sometimes the most extraordinary outcomes arise from the unforeseen. In the first midst of celebration and adjustment, Leicester City lifted the championship trophy, a testament to their tenacious journey and the unyielding spirit that propelled them to the summit of Tujarang football. In a league known for creating legends and realizing dreams, Leicester City's name is now etched in history, synonymously with the breathtaking victory that captivated the community. Post-match reaction from coaches as follows.
The ball is only way it's the way we train it, and it's the only way we are capitalizing it. But so unfortunately, the final ball was a problem, and we capitalized it in the second half. We adjust our team, and some people are coming, and after that. I was so impressed because this is my first. I'm a junior coach, and this is my first time having senior of coaching senior team. So I was able to make it to reach the final stage.
Chairperson Fabakari Maren of the Tujarang Youth and Sports Development Committee highlighted the committee's goal to promote Tujarang as a distinguished Nawetan zone.
That is our main target to have a playable football field in Tujarang, and our second target is for Tujarang to recommend as a zone because you see Tujarang for this past 5 years we always have 20 above. Always we have 20 teams or 22 or 23. This year we registered 20 teams, so that shows that we have also aim and objective to organize to recommend as a zone in VFF West Coast GFF zonals as well. Yes.
Distinguished guests, including Mamadou Sabali, Mafuji Sise of Catch Global, Councillor Boto Bojang, and community elders, graced the final. The victorious Leicester City team was awarded $30,000 and a grand trophy, while Buntalana, the runners-up, received $25,000. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Baikor.
Congratulations to Leicester and hard luck to Buntalana. From that report by Baikor, we'll take us to a short break. When we come back, we'll look at news outside the Gambia. Stay with us.
The Gambia is proud to host the 15th OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024, the second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can make a difference.
Back after that short break. If you are just tuning in, this is Star TV News, broadcasting from our studio in Serekunda. We now take a look at news outside the Gambia. There's been a series of kidnappings carried out by armed groups in northern Nigeria since February. The attacks are on the rise, often leaving security forces unable to support residents. It's led to locals, some of whom have survived kidnappings, to set up vigilant groups in an effort to protect themselves. Al Jazeera's William Marks reports.
They start their security shifts with a smile, but their task to prevent kidnappings in northeastern Nigeria is deadly serious. Members of this civilian joint task force are vigilantes, in a part of the country where regular police patrols have previously failed to protect the population.
There was a time I was also kidnapped, and as a victim, I was taken to their camp and I spent a week in the camp. It was not a funny experience. I was really beaten, threatened to be killed.
Kidnappings here gained global attention 10 years ago, when around 300 schoolgirls from the town of Chibok were seized by Boko Haram. Some remain missing, which is deeply felt by their families.
She's the only best daughter among those I have that the God gave me. So I will never forget her. I will never forget her. In fact, I will never forget her.
Their absence feeds pain, but also anger against the armed group and criminal gangs alike. But experts worry that villagers carrying weapons could create their own challenges too.
If you don't control these guys that are carrying arms to protect their community, I think criminal elements will capitalize on that opportunity and explore that opportunity in their criminal enterprise. So I think the government should give these guys effective training.
Singing on patrol, a sign of confidence, as this community seeks to respond to the region's violence. Willem Marks, Al Jazeera.
The United States has vetoed a draft resolution at the UN Security Council which called for Palestinians to become full member of the United Nations. The US was the only country to vote against it. 12 members voted in favor, with the UK and Switzerland abstaining. Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo reports from the UN headquarters in New York.
Those against?
A single raised hand signaling the United States veto which ended Palestine's aspirations to become a full member of the United Nations. Also showing how isolated America has become on the issue. They were the only no vote. The UK and Switzerland abstained, while the 12 other council members all voted in favor of Palestine.
To the Palestinian people, Guyana will never abandon you. We will continue to use our voice until justice is served.
Granting membership in the UN to Palestine
could be an important step towards peace. It would strengthen the role of the Palestinian Authority and would contribute to the security of Israel as well.
In remarks after the U.S. veto, Palestine's ambassador gathered himself as he talked about his people's quest for dignity and acceptance. The chamber sat silent. Some diplomats were seen wiping away tears as he spoke.
We love life, to live in freedom and dignity in our national homeland. We will not disappear. Either you deal with us with fairness and give us our rights, or give us our rights.
The United States justified its veto by casting doubt on Palestine's qualifications.
As reflected in the report of the Admission Committee, there was not unanimity among committee members as to whether the applicant met the criteria for membership as set forth in Article 4 of the UN Charter.
Earlier in the day, in a separate council session open to all UN member states, the Secretary General briefed the council on the reality on the ground.
In Gaza, 6.5 months of Israeli military operations have created a humanitarian hellscape. Tens of thousands of people have been killed. 2 million Palestinians have endured death, destruction, and the denial of life-saving humanitarian aid, and they are now staring down on starvation.
It was a long day of more than 5 hours of speeches on Palestine and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, followed by nearly 2 more hours focused on Palestine's bid to join 193 other countries and become a full member of the United Nations. But despite overwhelming support, it's now abundantly clear it likely won't happen until the United States changes its position. Gabriel Elizondo, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations in New York.
At least 135 people have died in Pakistan and Afghanistan in severe weather across the region. Flash floods have left thousands of people homeless, and more thunderstorms are expected in the coming days. Al Jazeera's Ibtizim Jen Ebdi reports.
In western Pakistan, homeowners inspect the damage knee-deep in muddy waters. For 5 days, severe weather in Balochistan and eastern Afghanistan has affected roads, destroyed homes and livelihoods. Dozens of people and animals died when their roof collapsed on them.
There were 3 goats in this room that were lost. People are taking out the animals and belongings from under the mud. They suffered huge losses. All the walls of the houses have been destroyed and need to be rebuilt.
More than 2,000 livestock were lost in this part of Afghanistan, and up to 4,000 homes were destroyed across the region. The heavy rains are unusual, nearly double the rainfall of previous years. Experts say countries experiencing the effects of climate change will see more erratic weather like this.
It has been raining continuously for the last few days, and it has now turned into flooding. The government should provide assistance and relief to the people.
This region of southern Pakistan is still reeling from the unprecedented floods of nearly 2 years ago. More than 1,700 people died and thousands were injured in one of the worst flooding in Pakistan's history. Millions were left homeless, their sources of clean drinking water contaminated for months. Pakistan is the 5th most vulnerable country to climate change, according to the UN's Global Climate Risk Index. And Afghanistan ranks as one of the least prepared to face extreme weather events.
We ask foreign countries to help the flood victims and other people in need. They cannot rebuild by themselves.
As they bury their dead, people in both countries are bracing for more thunderstorms. Officials warn next week could bring more flooding and heavy rainfall. Ibtisam Genford, Al Jazeera.
That report brings us to the end of this edition of Today's News, but before we go, to recap the main points again.